Our first honoree this evening is Michael Barnhart. Michael was a four-year member of the Bloomsburg State college football team from 1966 to 69, and he started every game of his collegiate career at middle linebacker. He began his Huskies career as the defensive captain of the freshman football team. After leading the team in tackles and interceptions that season, he earned a starting role and was named the varsity defensive captain as a sophomore. The middle linebacker went on to earn numerous athletic awards during his playing career. He captured second-team all-conference honors as a sophomore, and then all-conference first-team and Associated Press all-state third-team athletes as a junior. Barnhart was unanimously chosen as a team captain during his senior season, and he earned all-conference first-team, Associated Press all-state third-team, and NAIA All-American honors following his final campaign. Off the field, Barnhart enjoyed tremendous academic success and was elected the president of the Delta Omega Chi fraternity. He was also named the president of the Interfraternity Council. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 190th member of the Hall of Fame, Michael Barnhart.
Well, thank you, Mary, for introducing me. I was told that I have like 3, 4, 5 minutes for my speech this evening, but you'll be happy to know that I was able to cut it down from a half an hour down to 20 minutes. But really, if you need to use the facilities or you need to get a drink from the bar, now's the time to do it. I'm only kidding, only kidding. I said that at my daughter's wedding a couple of years ago when I was the father of the bride, and everyone got up and ran to the bar. So really, it's going to be short and sweet this evening. I have some thank yous that I have to acknowledge. First of all, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for my nomination and for including me with these 6 other fantastic, great athletes, and also for being a part of the history of the Hall of Fame inductees that have come before me. I'm truly honored and humbled by the experience. I'd also like to thank an individual, a fraternity brother of mine and also a fellow teammate, Marty Morgus. Marty was instrumental in getting my name in front of the committee. So Marty, thank you for all the years that you have worked for me. I appreciate that. And I also like to thank my former coach, Bill Brown, for his efforts as well. And I'd be remiss if I wouldn't thank my fellow teammates and fraternity brothers that have supported me over all the years and that are still here this evening. And I know I would run over my 20 minutes if I named all of them, but I wanted to do that. But after a half a century, we're still a team, guys. We're still a team. Thank you. And next, I'd like to thank my parents, my mom and my dad. My parents, they're not with us, but particularly my father. I mean, my dad, he'd come home from work, being on the road all day, and he'd say, "Son, get your gear, we're going to the practice field." And we'd go down and practice and practice and practice. And this is when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old. You know, we do this 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 times a week. And he instilled in me that if I ever wanted to excel in any sport, whether it be football, baseball, wrestling, basketball, or track and field, that I needed to practice and practice. And more importantly, he said, you need to give more than 100%. And that was my first challenge. And then I want to thank my football coach, starting my junior high coach, Coach Pete Slack. He was a civics teacher and a good friend of the family. And he was an SOB, but he had a good heart. So I'll never forget my first day at practice in junior high in 7th grade. I must have been about 4'11", weighing maybe 120, pounds. And it was our first day of practice. We were finishing up practice in the middle of August, about noon, and we're finishing practice and running 100-yard wind sprints in full gear. And I'm dying, and I'm about ready to throw up. And Coach Slack noticed that I was hurting me. And he came over to me and grabbed me by the shoulder pads and said, "What's the matter, Barnhart? Can't you take this? Why don't you quit? You're not going to make it in this sport." And I just looked at him, didn't say a word, and that was all the inspiration that I needed. And that was my second challenge. And then my high school coaches, I played for Shikellamy, which is in Sunbury, just down the road. Head coach Dick Purnell, Coach Trevor Lewis, Coach Charlie Slagle, Coach Tom Bossert. Coach Bossert was a tough wrestler from Lockheed, a good defensive coach. And one day after practice, Coach Purnell called me into his office and said, "Barnhart, you're a tough kid, but if you want to play ball for me, you're going to be a linebacker and a pulling guard." And I said, "Oh boy, here we go." And my dad always wanted to have me as a running back. So I went home and had a chat with my parents, and I became a linebacker and a guard. And that was my third challenge. In my senior year, we went undefeated, and we beat Coach Sextock's alma mater, Mount Conroe, in their home stadium, the Silver Bowl. 19-12 was the last regular season game. They're smiling, Coach. And that earned us the right to play for the Eastern Division Championship of Pennsylvania. See, back in '61, they didn't have PWA didn't have a playoff system that they have today, where the high schools could play for an individual championship for a AAA and AA. So we later learned that our opponent was going to be Blakely. And Blakely was one of those teams that you don't want to play. They had never lost a game in like 2, 3, or 4 years. And then there was a picture of several of Blakely members in the Sunbury Daily Adams sports page. These guys did not look like 17 or 18-year-old high school kids. They looked like 20, 21-year-old men. And I said, "Oh my." And many of you know me, and I didn't say "oh my" back then, so I'm trying to keep it clean. So we played Blakely at Bucknell Stadium in Lewisburg in early December, and we beat them 14-6. And later, when I became a freshman here at Bloomsburg, I learned that one of the referees in the Blakely game was the dean here at Bloomsburg, Dean Elton Huntsman. And later on, Dean Huntsman called me into his office, and we had a long chat about the Blakely game. And my coaches here at Bloom, Coach Russ Houck, Coach Jerry Densdorf, Coach Bill Sproul, and also Coach, I can't recall his name right now, but my favorite was Coach Clark Bowler. Coach Bowler was a terrific defensive coach, and I learned a lot from Coach Bowler. He played for the University of Alabama and played on the national championship team back in 1961. But later on, Coach Densdorf called me into his office and said, "Mike," said, "I want you to be a blocking back for me when we get into our goal line offense." And that made my dad really happy because he finally got the running back that he wanted. But it didn't make me happy because I had to choose a number 46, that would work in the backfield. See, I wanted to have number 51 after my idol, Dick Buckus, who played middle linebacker for the Fighting Illini of Illinois and the Chicago Bears. And with that, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee again for my nomination and for this fantastic evening. And more importantly, I'd like to thank Bloomsburg University for giving me the opportunity to play the game that I so dearly love to play. Thank you very much.